Hey everybody, we are back. I wanted to just sort of take a minute to give you guys a bit of a rundown. Last year was chaos, to say the least, and it's like a couple years ran into each other. We always tell you how we do the bikes and the projects, but we never really get around to telling you how well they work. So I just wanted to take a minute. This will be a quick video covering several different motorcycles that we've done, and let's just get right to it. Okay, in no particular order, don't send me any hate mail. We're gonna start off with the 2020 S1000RR, owned by Tonsi Ferguson and ridden primarily by David Fondon. Now, if you watched the video that we did, I had you ride along with me, and we took the S1000RR after working with Bren Tuning and getting everything really working well. We took it super stock legal to our very first national event at the XDA, and we came out of the gate in testing, broke the ET record, broke the mile-an-hour record, and basically got everybody's attention. But what really got their attention was basically David just went out, rode that bike, and dominated the race. So by the time before we got there, no one knew what a 2020 S1000RR was. By the time we left, everyone in the class was very familiar with what an S1000RR can do. So that was my part of it. I made it super stock legal. I developed the product so that we could get it done. And at the end of that race, I came back to Ohio. Tonsi took the bike back up with him to the New Jersey area, and that was it. We did our thing and it was over. Well, it wasn't over. Tonsi decided to ask David if he'd go ahead and ride the bike a little bit more, so that they went out to the next race. But of course, after coming out and dominating like that, the organizers of the event and the runners of the organization called up Tonsi and said, "Listen, obviously we've got a lot of complaining about how fast you guys went out of the gate, so we're going to raise your ground clearance a ½ an inch." ½ an inch doesn't sound like much, but in our world, as a general rule, and you guys have heard me say this before, it's about 1/10 of a second in the quarter mile for every 1 inch that you can get that bike lower. So the whole idea was to slow us down 1/2 to get us back in line with the rest of the guys. Well, David goes out, rides the bike, and wins again. So they go back home, hanging out, waiting for the next race. Before the next race, yeah guys, we had another problem here, so we're gonna go ahead and raise you up another ½ an inch. So now we've been raised up an entire inch, the only 1000cc motorcycle with a rider David's size that has to run at that. Everybody else gets to be slammed in the dirt and, you know, go out and do their thing. So then we go out, and Tonsi wasn't really sure if they were targeting the bike or targeting the rider. So he said, "You know what, David, why don't you ride your own personal bike?" David's got a ZX-10 and a ZX-14. He wins the races on in that class all the time. And he asked Jeremy Teasley to throw a leg over the S1000RR. He calls El Jefe. Jeremy had never even sat on the K67 series bike, 2020. He'd never even sat on one. So he goes out, qualifies okay. As he's riding the bike, he gets his rhythm together, and guess what happens? You'll see in the pictures. We win again. So at that time, Tonsi just decided, he's like, "You know what? We're obviously causing these guys a lot of grief, and before they make up all these extra special rules that no one else has, we're just going to retire the bike from the class. It's causing too much chaos. We're going to make it long and go out and go fast." And that's where this begins. So now the changes to the bike are, it's been extended, it's got an aftermarket shock, and it's got an air shifter on it. No other changes to the engine. A bike that had gone in the 860s with just super stock legal. How fast does it go now? Crappy drum roll. I'm terrible at drum rolls. He goes and throws down an 810. Which is a really good run. Backed it up with, I believe, a 14 and a 17, so the bike is really, really fast. It's sort of in between classes right now. He runs it in grudge sometimes. It's not quite fast enough for real street, although he beat Ricky Gadsden one pass. We always like messing with Ricky. No offense, Ricky, you know we love you. But the bike, it's really not a real street bike. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on with it. And now we're gonna move on to the next bike, which is the ZH2, right after this. All right, guys, now we're going to sort of segue to the absolute opposite end of race only and talk to our buddy Dan with the ZH2. Dan's local. He's not a racer. He's just a guy who's a performance enthusiast and wants, when he goes for a ride, he wants to go for a ride on a bike that excites him. When he twists the gas, he wants to make sure something happens. And if, you know, some of his buddies are mouthing off, he may go shut them up. That's his business. But anyway, what I wanted to show you, you'll see in the video clip that we talk about the horsepower that Dan's making on pump gas. And if you look up here, the bike made a solid on 93 octane, 248 horsepower. When he left, I mean, I just pulled up a couple of the final runs because that's how we gave him the bike. What we don't mention in the video footage is, as part of our development process, for our guys that just have never been fast enough, I also worked with some MRX02 on Dan's bike, put him in a little map selector switch, and let me show you what the results of that were. All right, if you guys don't mind coming on over here, you will see runs of 254, 254, and the best of 255.87. Let's just call that 256 horsepower, why don't we? Out of a bone stock bike with all bolt-on parts. Once again, the BT Moto Flash is the key there. Put it together with our mapping, and you have got a motorcycle that really, really, really hauls ass. Now, I mentioned product development. We're constantly developing products. So you're gonna see, we put a little segue in there about air shifters. I was helping develop a shifter bracket for Dan Milholland because he's gonna go drag racing with his ZH2. He wants the world's quickest ZH2. I think he's already got it, but he wants to crush that record and show people just how quick that bike can go. So I used local Dan's bike to come up with some bracketry for Dan Milholland's bike so they can go to the track, and we mentioned that also. So I hope you enjoy that, and we will have some other goodies for you right after that. Hey guys, we are back. Why does there have to be two mics with ZX-10s and two Dans with ZH2s? This is our local Dan.
It's going.
It was been kind enough to loan us his bike again because the other Dan put a swing arm on his bike this long and now he needs an air shifter, so we're trying to figure out the parts. Anyway, we decided we would take this opportunity. You picked the bike up when you picked it up, and I had to consult my dyno records. It was November, only about 300 miles ago, but when you rolled out in a 247 horsepower on pump gas, 93 octane, previous to that you were 225. Can you feel that?
Oh yeah, I can feel that off the go, and then when you get into it, it's life-changing the way that it will pick you up and throw you back in the seat.
Oh yeah, believe me, I managed to go ahead and scare myself on this thing more than once. We had cut some of it because of the bad language.
Right.
So 300 miles. What the hell? You got this beautiful motorcycle, makes damn near 250 horsepower.
Yep. It just life slowed me down a little bit on the rides. Yeah.
You were saying, baby, move.
Yep. All of the above.
All
Work.
of that stuff. It takes a long time, but the good news is, it starts, it runs. You get to ride it when you can.
Yep. Sounds good.
I love the way this bike sounds. A little loud, but you know, guys, the more horsepower you make, the louder the bike gets. Think about it.
Yep. Nobody will miss you behind them, beside them, in front of them.
Your neighbors are big fans, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah, break them in real nice.
Yep.
So, drivability. Was there when we bumped you up another 25 horsepower? Did the bike all of a sudden become a mean, nasty, terrible beast to ride around?
No, if you grabbed a handful of throttle that you used to grab, then yeah. But if you eased into where it was sitting at the time, and then the jump up, and then you ease into it, and you play with it, it's still easily drivable, but very much.
What about when you're being like all the rest of our customers and just going to the grocery store and putting around? Does it putt around okay?
Yeah, it can putt around okay. Yeah.
As far as street manners, you don't have to put up with a bunch of poo and missing and popping and cracking and all the other stuff that people with 250 horsepower motorcycles have to deal with.
No,
right?
it does really well. It's not like that.
Good. We did a lot of work on your steering damper.
Yeah.
Is that something that you can you elaborate on that? Can you tell? Because you've had no damper, and then you had our first version, and now you have our final version.
I could say that it does make a difference. There was a couple times I was getting into it, pulling the front wheel a little bit off the ground and setting it down, and maybe you're not completely centered, or I never got the death wobbles or anything before that, but I can tell you that
just a little shake, and this just gives you. I don't want to say takes that away. I mean, I guess it does take it away. It's sort of obviously if you're all cranking to one side, you're still going to get a little bit of a wobble.
You're still intentionally cranking it one way or something. You're still going to get a little bit of a wobble.
I think a bike that's this length and that powerful, being able to cut down on as much of this as possible is probably a healthy thing.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, I appreciate you loaning us your bike.
Of course.
Overall, what do you? Well, great question. What did you own previous to this, before jumping on this kind of power?
Mostly dirt bikes.
Mostly that. That's not a bad thing. I have people ask me all the time. They're like, "What should I learn to ride first?" I'm like, "A dirt bike. Dirt's a hell of a lot softer than asphalt.
Yep.
There's no cars for you to blast into, and the power to weight ratio on a dirt bike is really, really similar to something like this. You may not have the overall speed, but you have to learn how to control something that can go from I'm fine to out of control.
Right. Gonna kill
that.
You. Yeah.
So you really haven't had any trouble transitioning?
Honestly, it translated from a dirt bike, kind of more upright controls, seating, all that, about the same. I never had a tank hugger. I never had a sport bike that I laid over the tank.
Okay.
So it was all dirt bikes before. Then I was talked into this by one of my buddies because I thought my skills would translate pretty well, and it did.
Good.
So.
And just like me, you were out beating up on Mike on his ZX-10. Listen, ZX-10 guys, chill out. It's got a supercharger. You don't. It's okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I get hate mail.
Yeah.
We love your motorcycles. I got a ZX-10 video coming up that you guys are going to love. But anyway, so you've been out playing with the boys, and holds its own?
It definitely holds its own.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Stupid fast is what we're about.
Yes.
I think this qualifies.
I would say it qualifies very well.
Stupid fast statement.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We just wanted to give you just a quick update. Dan was nice enough to bring us a bike again, and until next time, Dan. ZH2. I'm Brock from Brock's Performance. We'll see you then. Hey guys, when Dan was here we mentioned a little bit that we were rigging up an air shifter here. So what's an air shifter? What's the advantage? Well, on this particular bike, it already has an electric shifter or quick shifter, which means you don't have to back off the gas or touch the clutch. You lift up and the bike will shift. The reason it does that is because when you lift up, the switch sends a signal to the ECU. The ECU kills the motor for, let's say, 40-50 milliseconds. That unloads the transmission. That allows the gear to go into the next gear without having to pull in on the clutch. Whew. That's great. But why an air shifter? Well, the advantage of an air shifter is that you don't have to have your feet on the pegs. Now, the other Dan wants the fastest, the quickest ZH2 in the world. So he went ahead and put a long swing arm on it. Well, with a long swing arm, you can also use gearing that'll really let that bike leave the line. And so the advantage of not having to get your foot up between that 1-2 shift, that you may only have a second or so to even get your foot up before it's time for the next shift. So by putting on a pneumatic cylinder like this, all we're basically doing is taking place of your foot. We'll unplug the horn, we'll plug in a solenoid valve, and we'll have an air supply that will power this cylinder. So wide open throttle, no clutch, just like you're shifting up with your foot with your quick shifter, but instead we'll just hit the horn, bam, and the bike goes into gear. As soon as the pressure vents, it falls back down and you're ready to hit the other gear. Why would you need to do that? Well, there's a lot of different reasons, and one of the reasons that I like is because I actually use my feet as feelers, almost like a kid in the swimming pool, right? How deep is it? Well, that tells me how high the bike is getting off the ground. So I'm not in a big hurry to get my feet on the pegs. I usually don't get them on the pegs until after the 1-2 shift. On a really, really fast bike, like a nitrous bike or something that's really tearing out of there, I won't put my feet up till third, because I want to make sure that I know how tall my wheelie is, because I'm actually riding the bike. I don't have wheelie bars or any craziness. It's up here. And if I don't catch it enough and flip over, I'm having a bad day. So by being able to know where I'm at and know how much the bike is off the ground is a real advantage. Well, you can't feel with your feet and shift with your foot at the same time. That's where air shifters really come into play. That's why any serious drag race motorcycle you're ever going to see is always going to have an air shifter or a button shifter, whatever you want to call it, but something that takes the place of your feet. Think about it this way. Even on a street bike with a street tire, the bike leaves the starting line so hard that it can pull over 3 Gs. So what does that mean? I don't know how much my leg weighs. Let's just say it weighs 40 pounds, maybe, but how much a leg, your foot, your boot, your leathers, you add all that weight onto there, and even if it is only 40 pounds, when I leave the starting line, that 40 pounds is now 120. So it's really hard to get my feet up in the first place. So with this, you don't have to worry about it. It's just it's a better way, it's a quicker way, and that's why we do it this way. Okay, ZX-10 guys, earlier in this episode, you saw us poking a little bit of fun at you guys, because nothing personal. God, calm down, man. The ZX-10 guys, we love you. We love you. But you are the most vocal and probably the most passionate owners that we have to deal with. So if anything ever looks even halfway negative, Jesus, I feel like I'm gonna get lynched when I go to the grocery store. Chill out. We love your bike. And if you saw our 2021 ZX-10R video that we did for the other mic, because we never have enough mics with ZX-10s, you will notice that ZX-10 made more peak horsepower than that BMW I was just talking about that kicked everybody's ass in the racing world. We love your bike. You're good. we've got something for you. Not only that video proving how badass the ZX-10s are, but once again, our job here at Brock's Performance isn't to make videos, it's to develop products. So what kind of products are we developing for you ZX-10 guys that you have never seen from Brock's Performance before? Oh God, I gotta get a little better. All right, could we please pan down to the full titanium CT single series? And listen guys, just so you know, product development is ugly. What you get in the box when you open up your brand new CT is not going to be a bunch of tie wraps holding it on, okay? All right? So please, do you see Brock's new pipe with the tie wraps? God. Listen, it's going to be beautiful. It's not beautiful now, but since I'm giving you the inside scoop, you're going to have to work with me here, have a little imagination, and realize that the bracket has been drawn up and it's beautiful on the computer. I can make a paper doll if you want one so you can see it, but we don't need to go that far. So we've got the CT single. For you now, before I get into this. CT single, what's the difference, Brock? Okay, well, on a lot of motorcycles, when you have a longer elbow pipe, you pick up mid-range. Guess what? On this one, you don't. You don't pick up mid-range. What you do get, though, is a pipe that is noticeably quieter than this. Why is it quieter? Not only does it have more volume, not only is there more baffle packing, there's more room for packing inside the muffler compared to the smaller Meg, but if you're riding here and your exit is behind you, it's much, much quieter. There are a lot of people that really like these days. They're old, like me. These things make me out of my mind unless I'm at the racetrack. But for you guys that just cannot get a pipe that irritates the out of your neighbors enough, here you go. It is badass. It's super throaty. We have magic, right? We got little gnomes and gypsies and shit that go in here and they change the materials around and we use a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Next thing you know, right? Badass. These things are genuinely badass. And here's even the better part. This beautiful exhaust fits the Gen 5 and the Gen 6 ZX-10R. So if you got a Gen 5 and you want to update it, buy the pipe. Oh man, I gotta have one of those new 2021s Brock said was so fast. Awesome! Put your other pipe back on, put that on your Gen 6 and right off into the sunset. So anyway, that's what we do here. We do this for you guys, right? Don't get me wrong, we do it for us. I like nice stuff, so I like selling things. I'm not gonna lie to you. But that's what's going on. And next, we are gonna talk about Mr. Scott Sullivan's Gen 1 Hayabusa, ZX-10 guys, go do something else. I know you give no shits. See you in a minute. Hey everybody, we're trying to stay cool.
No, standard.
Boiling hot out here, sweating all over. But this is the Scott Sullivan.
There's no real D in front of my
There's
name,
the D.
so
You should get that done like professionally. Like change that.
that's not my driver's license.
So Scott was nice enough. He's had the bike now for about 3 weeks.
Yep.
After we fixed it.
Yep.
Just a little bit of a recap. You hadn't been on it for
2 years.
2 years. I had it for a year. We're busy. Cut me a break. So I had it for a year, and basically what happened, and I was talking to Scott about this earlier. Bike was great. You do a lot of cruising, not a lot of racing or anything like that. And you just cruise 25,000 miles or so on the bike.
Yeah, it's got 24,000 miles on it.
24. And everything was fine. And then all of a sudden,
Second gear started bucking wildly if you throttled it.
yeah, if you got into the gas and got your RPMs up,
Yep.
which is what we showed on the video, the very first video. So bike sat there, didn't really know what to do, right? And Scott does a lot of favors for us here at Brock's Performance. So I told him, I said, man, in my off time, maybe I can take a look at it. we ended up taking a look, and it was a little bit more complicated than we thought. Thought it was a fuel pump. Bought a fuel pump, wasn't it? Checked plugs, checked everything. And then finally I got a little aha moment with the cam chain tensioner. So I asked Scott, you know, if one moment it's fine and the next moment it's just
Bucking wildly.
Bucking wildly.
Bucking wildly.
The question we had in the video series was it cam chain stretch, or did it jump a tooth on the cam timing? Well, the fact that 1 minute it's fine, the next minute it's bad, that's jumping a tooth. If it was cam chain stretch, it would just gradually start, and you'd have the miss, and then the worse it got, the earlier that miss would come in because the intake's in.
Yeah, no, it was
cam
consistent.
pins on. So,
Yeah.
and it stayed very consistent. So, anyway, you've got about 700 miles on it now. What do you think?
I'm amazed.
Really?
Yeah, I've had this motorcycle for 20 years, and over that time period, I mean, I've ridden obviously 24,000 miles, and it's always been wonderful. But I can't even believe it now. It's been 2 years since I've been on it, but it's pretty much terrifying.
You told me that you were leaving someplace and rolled in the gas here.
Yeah, when I just left the green a couple weeks ago, and rather than just all out nail it, I just rolled into the gas gently, and I thought, oh my God, I can't even imagine. And I haven't since.
Well, and that's what we were talking about a little earlier too. I mean, the bike's 22 years old. How does it compare to today's modern bikes? And I was telling Scott, I would take damn near any modern day motorcycle right now and set it next to this, and I'm gonna whoop their ass. This bike is fast, it's easy to ride, and the thing about a Hayabusa is, all right, they may not be the quickest, especially stock wheelbases. It takes a little bit to get them going, but man, when they start going, the aerodynamics, these things really haul the nail, even for a really old bike. So, well, good. Everything's good. He said. I was poking at you in the videos. This thing's all dirty, and you know.
Yeah. Which actually, I don't know whether you realize that. I'm sure you know. Soon after I bought this,
I don't work on motorcycles with my black latex gloves. I don't have to. I clean my motorcycles out.
Well, soon after I bought this, I took every square inch in every piece of wood comp and had everything from it. Everything. And then you put all body panels on it, and you shine where you can see. And then I told you
that says the professional.
Yeah, my fork lower started leaking, and things start piling up, and then it starts that bucking, and you're just like, screw it. And then finally, it ultimately ended up one day wouldn't start. And then I called Brock for that specific reason, because I knew, that Brock did not work on motorcycles, but I thought that he would know somebody who would. And then he volunteered to take care of it. So how can you possibly ask for anything more than, the greatest guy on earth being able to work on this thing? It's like, yes, I'll do it. So
Glad to help. Thank you for all the stuff you do for us. The kickstand, everything's been fine with it.
Yeah.
I've got a new spring for you. I'll give that to you here before we leave, and I guess that's it. All right. So now that it's backing up and running, I know you had some it had fallen over.
Yeah.
Are you gonna fix it? You gonna leave it alone?
And that's one of the things. I've made my living painting things, hot rods, Harleys, motorcycles. I've never painted a Busa for a customer, and for good reason. It is a lot of time and a lot of money, and I well understand that someone wouldn't pay me to do that, but that applies to myself as well. I have 2 sets of body panels. If you remember, this thing used to be orange.
Yep.
I acquired all new body panels to do this paint job, and it is so labor intensive, I don't have time. And frankly, I was looking at also, and again, I'll bring up how someone had mentioned they didn't care for the color on it. They said it was yellow. It's not really yellow, it's green. But it's faded so much that I'd like to do something about that. Yeah, I don't know if you can. There you go.
Love that fluorescent, right?
But I'd love to do something about that as well, but it's so labor intensive, I don't have time. So I actually just brush touch some of these scuffs. I'm gonna block it down. The color's not right, there'll be little spots on it, but I'm gonna have to just let it go.
Good enough, right?
Yeah.
That's like me working on motorcycles after I worked on motorcycles all day. And at some point, you go, wow.
Well, and you know, I really don't have that problem so much, but like I said, there's just no time. And actually, you talked about cleaning. People build rat rods and I'm sure motorcycles as well.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And then brag, yeah, I don't have to worry about my stuff. I don't have to worry if I chip it. I don't have to worry if I have to wash it. I don't know when washing things ever became such a chore. The big thing for me is having time to do one right.
Yeah.
I took my body panels off. I gunked everything. Toothbrush, clean. It took hours. Well, it took 5 hours. And then I just
5 hours. It got caught in the rain.
Caught in the rain that night.
That's Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
All right, Scott. Well, thanks for giving us an update. I thought our viewers would want to know how it is, or whether I just make all the shit up in my mind when I go for a ride. But,
well, and the worst of it is, I know that I don't ride it as aggressively as you guys would probably wish, given what you do. But I love my motorcycle. I'll ride it the way I want.
I'll tell you what, it's a fun bike, and I mentioned in the first video I hadn't ridden one for a while, and as soon as you get in that gas, you just think, wow, that's right. I remember now. These things are badass, legit badass. So, all right, guys, with Scott Sullivan, I'm Brock from Brock's Performance. We'll see you next time.